Well, I'm back, and it's been about 5 years since I've had access to my garage. Now, I know a lot of you guys have followed my videos, and some of them I put on regarding timing, regarding how to degree cams, how to do trivial stuff too, like removing a front bumper. I had, I think, a half an hour video on that. Well, I'm looking to get back into working on my 240SX. Now, I want to let you know, myself, I've had a lot of things come up in the last couple of years. I've had two kids come along. I got two young boys. They're now almost 3 years old and almost 2 years old. And I love them to death. This still doesn't change the fact that I still don't have access to my garage over here. And as you guys have seen, I'm still in the same spot as I was before. I still got my KA engine here. Again, ignore the turbo just sitting all loose like that, but I just have it sitting here. It's not doing anything. So I'm hoping to get my garage back up and running again. I've been working on a Ford F-250 project as well. I'd like to get the... Let me get some light. It's a little bit better here. I'm looking to get the Ford videos up online as well, but to finish that project off, I need access to my garage, and I haven't had access to my garage for a while. It limits me to working outside in the cold Canadian winter time, or rather, it limits me to working only in the summertime in Canada, and this doesn't allow for getting a lot of work done. We only have 3 months of really workable weather outside before you shut everything down. It gets too cold to work on anything, or you get the rain. Like in April, May, we get lots of rain. In September, the end of September, October, we get rain, and then it's just all of a sudden out of nowhere, minus 30 sometimes. We're right off the Rockies, so our weather it's questionable to say the least. So I'm looking to get my 240 done. I want to go through a list of things I have to do here. This some of you guys know I've been a little bit skeptical about my Crowler cams. Not Brian Crowler, not BC cams, but they're Crowler. I think it comes from the same spot. I think one of the original cams were made by dude's father, is I think the story behind this. But I'm looking to either remove my cams to go back to the stock cams. I got to remove the front subframe. I want to clean and paint the front subframe. Actually, I want to coat it so it's going to never rust ever again. My Ford F-250 project, a lot of you guys remember me tearing apart the whole back end of that truck, and it's all been rhino lined and everything. Well, not rhino lined, but same stuff. I gotta clean up the radiator area, figure out wastegate springs. No joke, when it comes to working on wastegates, I don't have any experience with that whatsoever. I know. Now you're like, oh, I've been listening to this idiot. I got a map, draw a wire map of my LS coils, and I'm gonna have to figure a place where to mount them. Now, I might not even go with LS coils now that I've seen some of the other stuff that's out there. There's small coil packs that people are using off of bikes, like Honda CBRs and things like that. I might go that route instead. It's a much smaller package. It can sit right on the top of the engine. Might be a whole lot easier to mount. I got to ream some holes in the firewall for some extra wiring for the ECU to go to the sensors and whatnot. New front brakes, definitely. I actually want to do front and rear eventually. I got to install some sway bars. I don't have them yet, believe it or not. Fuel system, tank lines. Yes, this is a big thing. If I'm going to go any performance engine, or even if I swap to an LS series, which I might hear one of these days, I should have a proper fuel system. Larger fuel lines, enough pump to get it there and return back, to make sure that there's always pressure on those injectors, because the last thing you want to do is lean out. It'd be better to run rich than to run lean. So that's where a lot of people skip out on, is they just don't upgrade their fuel lines. It's not that hard. If you've ever done brake lines in a vehicle, it's essentially the same thing. You just route up some line. You can figure out how much pump pressure you need. There's a lot of information like that online. I might go into that too. Sell the front and rear bumpers. I had an aftermarket bumper for my car. It was a fiberglass knockoff of, I believe, an Origin. I can't remember version 3. No, it wasn't version 3 because I don't like the version 3. I think it was version 2 bumper. Sold that. I got to sell the rear one, sell the front bumper. I don't know what I'm going to do yet for the look of the car. I think that's going to be the easiest thing for me. I've been doing a lot of body work. I hate it, but I'm getting better at it. So it's kind of one of those things. What else have we got here? Complete the coolant block to engine. That makes no sense. I'm assuming what I mean with that is to install the coolant lines from the engine through the firewall to the heater core and then back. I'm pretty sure that's what I meant by that. I don't know why I wrote it like this. Either way, I gotta finish that system up. Resistors. I have it listed down CP-10 Mexico 0935 10 ohm Dale 10W. So obviously I wrote this down from somewhere on kat.org regarding the injectors. Now the injectors, regarding the resistors. Now I'm running an AEM Series 2 and I don't believe it matters if I have high impedance or low impedance injectors if I'm running an aftermarket ECU. I think that ECU should be able to compensate accordingly. Maybe. I have to look this up. This is kind of important. Otherwise, it's going to run like crap. Things are going to go wrong. I got to fabricate the downpipe, or at least modify my existing one. Stickers on the Nismo wheels. I did accomplish that the other day. I got to take that off of here. That's number 14. 15. Sell AEM fuel rail. I may have already done that. It might be in that box back there. So yeah, the AEM fuel rail and the ISIS, which is now ISR, to show you how old my project is here. ISIS changed their name, I'm assuming, because they didn't want to be affiliated with the terrorist organization. So I got to sell that fuel pressure regulator and buy a better fuel pressure regulator. I'm in the market for a 1.5 LSD, as well as the pumpkin. I'd like to have the full setup, working, that sort of thing. EGT sensor. I don't believe I have an EGT sensor. It says buy the EGT sensor and install. To do that, I might have to pull the manifold off, drill into the manifold, and get the EGT sensor on the exhaust side of the turbo. I've heard of people doing it post on the back side of the turbo, but the thing you got to keep in mind though is the EGTs are not going to be reading correct, because once it goes through the turbo, it is kind of going to change the temperature. So I've heard you want to have it before that. I don't doubt with a good standalone, you should be able to adjust accordingly. Just say, hey, instead of this being the safety point, stretch it, move it on. But again, I got to look into that. Maybe I could do it in my downpipe and play around with the tune. Lug nuts. Yeah, I want to put proper lug nuts on that. I hate running those Nismo LMGT4s with crappy ones. Front mount intercooler. Yeah, I want to buy a new one of those. I bought a used one and I paid way too much money for it, and it's all gimped up and everything. I'd like to get a proper one. 5-speed sensor and complete the 5-speed swap. Yes, I ended this project midway in my 5-speed swap, so I'm lost. I gotta put copper gasket. Oh, right. The gasket to the turbo to the manifold. So that's one of the last things I need to do. When I put the turbo on, make sure there's a proper gasket in between the turbo and the manifold, so that way it's going to seal properly. Move fuse block to fit intercooler pipes. Yes. Okay. I guess this would be the passenger side of a USDM 240SX. When you're in the car, the right-hand side, the fuses and relays and all that good stuff is sitting in the way of where you'd run your intercooler piping. Now, being I have the aftermarket well, not aftermarket. I have one of two intakes, beautiful intakes for this KA engine. I'm going to need some room to hook up intercooler piping. Actually, another thing I noticed too is I gotta take my throttle body off too. Now that I think about that, I might even say in here too. Battery relocation, not a big deal. Just, again, time consuming. The 24-in-1 distributor disc that comes with the AEM Series 2, I believe I'm out 10 degrees on my trigger disc. Being I'm running a coil setup, I'm thinking that in the AEM Series 2 I should be able to go in and adjust the 10 degrees of timing. I think that's one of the beautiful things about coils, is I think you can get away with that, so it doesn't matter where the trigger disc is, just as long as when I go to first start up, figure out if I'm 10 degrees ahead or 10 degrees back, because that's a total of 20 degrees difference, right? But it is off, I believe, by a tooth, I guess you could say. Turbo coolant lines. Yes, I haven't even installed the coolant lines for the turbo. I've got the oil lines hooked up, but not the coolant lines, and actually, that's a lie. I have the coolant lines on the turbo. I can see them right now. So, again, I've forgotten everything that I've done with this project. So I'm going to have to install I think what I mean by this is I'm going to have to adjust what I did on the back. Here, I'm going to show you this. This is ridiculous. Just bear with me here. This is my little crappy setup on the back of the engine here, where the I got the coolant lines going back in, I think, over into the intake side. So what I'm going to have to do, or sorry, yeah, no, that's good. Let's get underneath here, see if we can see this. So in here, on this side of the KA block, I got the coolant line going through, comes back around, goes into this little stupid adapter thing I had to make back here, which I don't trust at all. And once the engine's in too, I think it's going to be in the way. Downpipe's going to be in the way too. I got my brake master cylinder. I also have a dog here. Yeah. Can you go lay down? Kind of filming here, buddy. Yeah, okay, paw. Yes. Yeah. So, I got to change out that whole monstrosity. You see, like, I got the nice fittings here, and then two different types of things holding it on, which it works, and then this stupid little cheap clamp here. Now, the thing is, if it expands too much, this little gimpy thing is probably going to suck. Well, maybe not, I don't know. But, and then it goes over down into the back of the water pump neck, or not the back, the side. The back here, I think I'm going to run to the heater core and back is how I had it planned out. I have no idea what I'm doing. So, just get you back up here so I can talk at you again. There we go. Remove throttle body, install brackets for the pedal, meaning the bracket that your throttle actually works off of. I had it here, somewhere up on my cart in the background. So I got to do that. Buy new plug wires, deep coil to plug. And it says I have a note here, check KAT. So I'm going to get some new plug wires if I'm definitely going to be going with a coil setup and length and everything. That I got to figure that all out. That's going to be one of the last steps, I guess. Install boost solenoid and the never over boost again. I can't remember for the life of me who wrote up on kat.org. There's a never over boost solution, and I believe it worked with. I think he set up like a secondary vacuum system to not allow your engine to overboost. So if you have the one failure, the second one stops it. I believe, again, I can't remember. This is going by memory, and it's getting fuzzy. There's a lot of malted hops up here, so.